If you worked in prisons as long as I have, you never say never. It's little simple things that you don't think about, that you put your guard down, they're going to beat you.
To understand how North Branch can keep so many violent offenders under lock and key, we need to travel back in time. In 12th century England, the king wants to build a fortress that doesn't just keep his enemies out, but also keeps his prisoners securely locked inside. When William the Conqueror invades England in 1066, he builds a mighty fortress in the middle of London, the Great Tower. It is the biggest building in the capital, designed to keep the king safe and show the English who's boss.
The tower was really built to overawe the Londoners and to impress William's power on them. But it was also used, as many castles were, as a prison.
Through the ages, the tower has held some of history's most famous prisoners: Anne Boleyn, Sir Walter Raleigh, and the princes in the tower. But as formidable as the tower looks today, it wasn't always so. In the 11th century, there's only the Great Tower in the center to hold the prisoners. It's surrounded by the massive Roman city walls and a ditch behind a wooden wall called a palisade. In 1100, the Great Tower receives its first prisoner, Ranulph Flambard, arrested for extortion. But he doesn't plan to stay for very long.
Ranulph Flambard was Bishop of Durham, and he was a very important minister, essentially, under King William Rufus. And we know he was brought here in September 1100, but by February the following year, he's planned his escape.
Flambard's plan is to outwit his guards.
The conditions for prisoners, as far as we can tell with Flambard, would be pretty good, because part of his escape plan is the fact that he's able to bring in a whole feast for his guards. It seems that he drank them under the table. When they were drunk and snoring, as the Chronicle says, he then went to the barrel of wine, which had a rope hidden inside it, took the rope out, attached it to the window bar, and climbed down the outside of the tower and escaped.
As soon as Flambard overcomes the walls of the Great Tower, only a low wooden wall stands between him and a life of freedom. The breakout exposes a major weakness in the tower's security.
There was only one layer of defence at that point. Really, there was just a sort of ditch that would have filled with water and a wooden palisade. So he didn't have to go through many layers to get out.
The tower stays like this for many years, until King Richard the Lionheart decides to boost its defenses. He replaces the wooden palisade with a mighty stone wall. Around it, he digs out a moat and floods it with water from the River Thames. But the Thames is tidal, so the moat keeps draining away. It takes another 100 years and the help of a Dutchman to solve this plumbing problem once and for all. The answer comes from an unexpected place: canals.
We know this moat was built by a specialist brought in from Flanders, a man called Walter. And we know at this stage that he does use technology to keep water in the moat. We know that he has sluice gates at either end of the moat. So a bit like a lock on a canal, it's designed to hold the water. I mean, the Thames is incredibly tidal here.
The king builds yet another wall and widens the moat. Then his Dutch engineer puts sluice gates into the outer wall. When the tide comes in, gatekeepers open the sluices to fill up the moat and then close them again to trap the water inside.
And this is the moat that still survives today. It's about 50 metres across, and at the time would have been about 15 metres deep. So really serious defence.
The massive moat seals the tower's reputation as an impregnable fortress and an inescapable prison. Together with the mighty walls, it's kept thousands of prisoners safely locked up through the centuries, right up until 1941. The tower's concept of multiple layers of defense still influences the design of prisons today. North Branch takes this idea to the extreme. Prisoners here have all the time in the world to contemplate life on the other side of the fence. But there are so many hurdles to overcome that the chance of escape is remote. First of all, the correctional officers, or COs, are not as easily fooled as Flambard's drunken tower guards.
We're gonna cuff the inmate. Sir, step up, step to the door.
Open Charlie 44.
To be honest, we trust no one. We have to make sure inmates do not get disguises of visitors or take staff uniform and try to walk out the front door.
Face the wall. Just gonna pat you down real quick before we put you back in the cell, please.
A lot of times it's staff negligence, and that's why we have to keep our staff on their toes. You don't take anything for granted.
Okay, step in the cell, sir.
Dino Pantases is serving a life sentence for having his wife killed.
I don't see where anyone can plan on escaping this institution. This institution is very secure. I work in the grounds unit. But when you're out there on a hot summer day and you look up, you see a shotgun sticking out of the tower. They take security seriously around here.
Any prisoner pondering escape faces a barrage of physical obstacles. The Tower of London had 4 layers of defense. North Branch has 7. Its cells are made from extremely tough concrete. They're cemented into a cell block controlled by CCTV. All the cell blocks are identical to confuse prisoners. The large open space around the blocks is monitored by guards in watchtowers. The first perimeter fence is 4 meters tall and has microwave sensors that automatically trigger searchlights. Beyond this sits the ultimate escape barrier, the outer fence, which is covered with a special type of wire that has razor-sharp edges.